Imagine waking up every day believing you are free. But every thought you have, every word you speak, every step you take, has already been anticipated, monitored, or shaped by a system. This is not science fiction. It's the real portrait of how totalitarian regimes operate. Throughout history, the greatest dictatorships and authoritarian regimes did not survive on military force alone. They thrived and expanded by using sophisticated techniques of population control. Control not just over what people do, but over what they believe, over what they feel. Because totalitarianism doesn't just want your body. It wants your mind, your soul, your voluntary obedience. But how is that even possible? The first tool is always fear. Fear is the universal language of control. And for fear to work, it must be unpredictable, but constant. Totalitarian regimes don't punish only the guilty. They also punish the innocent so that no one ever feels safe. The citizen never knows when it will be their turn. So they remain silent. In Stalin's Soviet Union, mass arrests were carried out on vague suspicions, false denunciations, or pure randomness. It was common for someone to leave for work and never return. No trial. No explanation. The absence itself became a warning. In Nazi Germany, even a harmless joke about the Führer could land you in a concentration camp. Intent didn't matter. Controlling the narrative did. Another essential pillar is surveillance. Totalitarian regimes understand that the best form of control is turning every citizen into an agent of the state. In East Germany, the Stasi, the secret police, kept files on millions of people. And most of the reports came from neighbors, co-workers, even family. Trust was destroyed. And fear made everyone watch everyone. When no one trusts anyone, no one conspires. No one resists. Another key element is information control. The first move of any totalitarian regime is to dominate the press, to silence dissenting voices, to control what is said and what is erased, to rewrite facts. The past stops being history and becomes propaganda. In Mao Zedong's China, books were burned. Teachers were persecuted. The so-called Cultural Revolution was not a celebration of the people. It was the erasure of collective memory, the imposition of a new truth. And when you no longer have access to the past, you become vulnerable to the present and a slave to the future. Another powerful technique is ideological standardization. In totalitarian regimes, everyone must think alike, speak alike, behave alike. In North Korea, the personality cult around the Kim dynasty is absolute. Children grow up singing songs about the leader. Citizens are required to wear pins with his face. His image is everywhere: schools, factories, homes. There is no room for individual identity. Only the collective is allowed. And the collective belongs to the state. But there's an even deeper level of control, symbolic and emotional control. This is where the regime enters the mind. It's not enough to obey. You must love the oppressor. You must cry for him, applaud him, worship him. George Orwell called this doublethink, the ability to accept two contradictory ideas as truth as long as it serves the system. It's the citizen who suffers, yet believes they live in a paradise. The worker who starves but thanks the government for protecting them. The person who is constantly watched and feels proud of it. This is the perfect form of control. When the oppressed falls in love with their oppressor. And none of this would be possible without a key instrument: linguistic manipulation. Totalitarian regimes know that controlling language means controlling thought. That's why they eliminate words that express freedom, criticism, or resistance. And they invent new ones, simplified, bureaucratic, and neutral, to describe pain, injustice, and abuse. Torture becomes ideological correction. Execution becomes disciplinary measure. Censorship becomes order protection. When you change the names of things, you change what they mean. And over time, you change what people feel. But perhaps the most efficient method of control is manipulated hope. Totalitarian regimes offer promises of greatness, of a bright future, of redemption. They say, endure today's suffering, because tomorrow will be glorious. This makes millions accept sacrifice, death, and misery, because they believe they're part of something greater. It's control through faith, through illusion, through utopia. And that's what makes these regimes so difficult to dismantle, because they don't survive on oppression alone. They survive on dreams, even if those dreams are never fulfilled. So we return to the original question. How do you control an entire population? The answer lies in the details. In the fear that spreads. In the truth that's twisted. In the language that's corrupted. In the hope that's promised. A totalitarian regime doesn't just invade your home. It invades your mind. It turns you into part of the machine. Until you no longer remember who you were. And don't even realize you've been controlled. Here at Forbidden Dossier, we open these files to show that the methods of yesterday are still alive today. The names have changed. The flags have changed. But the mechanisms remain. Anytime someone says dissent must be silenced for the good of the nation. Anytime questioning becomes criminal. Anytime pain is disguised as patriotism. Be suspicious. Freedom doesn't die all at once. It dies slowly. And always, with applause. The documents exist. The interpretation is still yours.